What's going on, everybody? Dots Gaming here, and today I have a key binding guide for you guys for World of Warcraft. Back when I started playing World of Warcraft, I feel like most people, I was a clicker. I keyboard turned with W, A, S, and D, clicked all my skills as I played, and didn't realize how inefficient it was to actually play this way until one of my friends who also played World of Warcraft, I started PvPing with him a lot more regularly, and he taught me how to keybind. And once I got used to actually keybinding everything, it made me truly realize how inefficient clicking and keyboard turning is. So I want to make a guide today to teach you guys how I personally learned to keybind way back in the day, just so that you guys can help I can help you guys develop a system to make the transition from clicking and keyboard turning to mouse turning and keybinding significantly easier. So we're going to start off with the most basic question of this video. What is key binding? Key binding is simply binding your abilities to a key press. So for example, whenever I press 1, I use Mind Blast. Whenever I press Shift R, I use Dispel Magic. I don't have to bring my mouse down here and click the skill. I can just use the keyboard press and bam, my skill will go off. Now, people might wonder, why is swapping from clicking to key binding so important? Like, what are the benefits of key binding? And key binding just makes actually pressing the buttons significantly faster. If you're fighting something, bringing your mouse, clicking this, then clicking this, then clicking this, oh, I need to click this, you're reliant on how quickly you can move your mouse and accurately click the buttons. While if you keybind everything, you're able to just really quickly with your left hand click all the buttons you need in really quick succession, and it just makes playing the game significantly faster and more efficient. Also, because you are using your left hand to actually click all of the skills on your keyboard, your right hand can be used for keyboard mouse movement instead of actually moving with W, A, S, and D, which allows you to turn and move more efficiently. For example, if you keyboard turn, you see how slowly you turn with the mouse, and the arc is pretty wide. But if you mouse turn, I mean, you can turn as fast as you're able to move your mouse. So it just allows you to change directions and move around significantly better. Also, you make a lot less mistakes when you keybind and actually click your buttons as well with your with keybinds as opposed to left clicking. If you are trying to drag your mouse around, you're in an intense fight and you accidentally click a wrong button too quickly because you're trying to really accurately get your mouse to all the different spots. You might misclick something. You might click a button that you didn't mean to press, and therefore screwing up your rotation. You also don't have to glance at your ability bars to make sure that you're accurately clicking skills. If you memorize your keybinds, which you will over time once you actually keybind for a while, you'll be able to pay attention to the game, pay attention to your teammates' health bars and your enemy health bars, and not worry about actually staring at your skill bars so that you can click the skills. Now, in terms of key binding and actually how to do it, key binding is very unique. Everyone's going to have their own style and their own system for how they want to key bind, but I am going to show you guys personally how I key bind and my system. I find my system obviously very good for me, so hopefully you guys can kind of draw some stuff from it and maybe apply some of the things that I do to your own key binding system. Now, I do recommend, if you do plan on playing WoW for a long period of time, I do recommend personally buying an MMO mouse. I personally have a Razer Naga Trinity. I'm going to leave an affiliate link in the description below if you guys want to buy this mouse for yourself and help support the channel, get a little bit of kickback from it. But honestly, I find playing WoW with an MMO mouse way easier than not having one, because the way that I do it is I have all of my skills on my keyboard, and my Naga does all of my targeting for when I play Arena. It targets my enemies, it targets my teammates, I can cancel auras. Just like a lot of miscellaneous stuff, I put it all on my Naga so that I can leave my keyboard free for my primary skills. Now, before we get into key binding though, in the system that I use, I do just want to discuss mouse movement, because I did talk about that and people might not, know like, okay, well, how should I bind my movements then if I don't have my, A turn me left and D turn me right. So what I personally do is I use W to move forward, A to strafe left, and D to strafe right, and then I hold down right click to turn. And to me, it becomes a very, very efficient way to move around. I can move around quicker, make faster turns. It just is a lot more efficient than keyboard turning. And it also frees up Q and E to be keybound to other skills so that you won't have, I think, because I think those are the default keybinds for strafe. You'll actually have those freed up to use for skills because your A and D key will already be bound to strafe because you won't have the turn keys anymore. The only other movement thing I would definitely do is I would unbind your back pedal. Back pedal is an extremely slow way to move in World of Warcraft. It's a lot slower than strafing and walking forward. And if you do need to change directions for some reason, you could just, because you're turning with your mouse, you could very quickly just turn around and run. Or if you need to still cast skills, you could just strafe and turn your mouse. It's a much more efficient than backpedaling. Backpedaling is just so slow, really inefficient way to move. So just unbind S completely and use it for another skill keybind. Now, what I would do to kind of do like a little exercise to actually practice the movement, this is something my friend taught me like way long ago when I was learning how to move, is to get used to your mouse's sensitivity. I would recommend trying to walk forward, jump, and rotate your mouse so that you're still continuing in a straight line. You know what I'm saying? So this will kind of get you used to your mouse's sensitivity and how to move in a straight line and just get used to the actual movement of it. Because I know like when I first went to mouse turning, it felt really weird at first, but doing this exercise for like a little bit every single day, besides just playing the game, it really helped me get used to it in time. Now, actually getting into our keybinds though, and what buttons I use and what I find comfortable, I kind of have developed a system for myself over time, and I apply this to every single class that I play. Granted, some classes are going to be different because some have a lot of keybinds, like any class that has to do with pets, and some classes barely have any keybinds, like Frost DKs and Demon Hunters, but I kind of have a general system that I use for every class that I play. 1 through 5 are like my rotational skills, frequent abilities. I find them to be very comfortable to hit, very easy to press. Now, besides those 5 skills, the other potential binds that I have before I go into this system, if you take a look at your keyboard right now, I basically put everything around my movement keys, W, A, D. So I have, besides 1 through 5, I also do 6, Q, E, R, T, S, F, G, and then Z, X, C, V. And then I shift modify every single one of those skills as well, with the exception of 6, because I can't really reach shift 6. It's too much of a stretch for me. And then I also do use the tilde for my mount, and then I do shift space for my flying mount. But those are, customizable to you. I'm talking about mainly combat skills. Now, besides 1 through 5 being my rotational skills, Q, for example, is always my stun. I just always use Q as my stun. My kick or an interrupt is always on E, for this case playing Shadow Priest, it's a silence. My T is always my execute. Shift F is always my break free trinket, my PvP trinket. I'll always put big defensives or burst cooldowns, though, on the other hand, on a skill that I can't fat finger, on a keybind that I can't fat finger, so that I can't accidentally press it. Very rarely you just moseying around, you accidentally hit shift 4, So, for example, I put my burst cooldown on shift 4, just because it puts it in a spot where I'm not going to accidentally click it, thus wasting a 3-minute cooldown. If I was to put one of my big cooldowns on something like 3, I might accidentally click it in a situation that I don't mean to, and that's a 3-minute cooldown now just into the wind because I clicked the wrong button. So, like I said, I personally put big defensive and offensive cooldowns on shift 1 through shift 5. But I also will do a skill that I hit really frequently on R. For me, R is an extremely comfortable keybind. So for me as a Shadow Priest, my main rotation is about 5 skills. But if you have, let's say, 6, I always also like to use R as another one. I find it extremely comfortable for me. So I use Power Word Shield like literally on cooldown in PvP. So for example, I have that on R. But besides that, the rest of your keybinds are pretty customizable to you. Another thing that I do recommend doing is putting, if you ever need a focus macro for anything. So let's say, for example, I have Psychic Horror is my single target stun. I might need to be able to, let's say in arena, quickly cast that on my focus target if I'm, let's say, targeting this spider, right? And let's say I am another player and I want to stun this guy really quickly without dropping my target off the spider. I can hit shift Q and it will instantly stun my focus target. But you need a good bind for that. And so for me, the way that I do it is that I have Q be my stun on my target, and then Shift Q be my focus stun. So it's really easy for me to remember that. Okay, Q is stun, Shift Q is focus stun. E is silence, Shift E is focus silence. So for me, just having focus macros on the shift modification keybind of the base bind, if that makes sense, for me, it's a really, really easy system. I also, on my Razor Naga, will do all of my targeting. So if you do have a MMO mouse or whatever, if you have a scimitar, whatever you might have, my first row is my arena keybinds. So 1, 2, and 3 targets arena 1, 2, and 3. Shift modify those, will focus those. My second row, I have one skill there, just one like random skill on the 4 key, because that's where my thumb naturally falls. But then I have 5 targets my healer, 6 targets my DPS, and then my back 2 rows are just kind of miscellaneous things that I might need to click very you know, every once in a while I am PvPing, but it just gives me some extra binds having this MMO mouse. But as you guys can see, that's kind of the system that I've developed and how I do my keybinds. I recommend that you kind of do a very similar thing for all of your classes. You know, put your burst cooldown on the same key, put your rotational skills on the same keys, your stuns, your kicks and silences. If you kind of keep a system going from class to class, it'll really help you learn your binds very, very quickly. Now, my final recommendation before I close out this video, guys, is that you do not want to continually change your keybinds when you set them up. You need to spend time playing with your keybinds and getting used to them. You can obviously make some optimizations and make some changes as you start playing it. Like I know I did that, where my keybinds right now are not the same as they were when I first started playing my Shadow Priest. I kind of shifted things around ever so slightly as I was getting back into World of Warcraft. But you need to give yourself time to actually get comfortable with your binds. If you change them every 2 seconds, you're never going to get comfortable with them, because especially coming from clicking, guys, keybinding is going to feel really, really uncomfortable. I know it did for me way back when I first started. I would have to like pause and think and be like, crap, what button is my stun? What button is this? And I'd like look at my bars and be like, oh, it's F. Then I'd shift, or I'd like reach my finger over to F, click my fear. Like, it will take you some time to get used to it, but it is the single greatest thing that I did way back when I was new to WoW. It was the single greatest thing I did to take me from being a complete and total noob to actually being in a position to learn and grow as a World of Warcraft player. There will be some niche situations where, like, maybe as a healer in like raids or something, you might want to heal slightly differently using an add-on, but general keybinding will pretty much apply to 99% of players in World of Warcraft, and it's just something that I recommend that everybody learns. And so, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please smack a like on it. Leave any comments below if you have any questions about my keybinding system or just need help getting started with it. Of course, guys, share this video with your friends if you have any friends newer to WoW that need to learn how to keybind, and of course subscribe to keep up to date with all the World of Warcraft content I put out here on my YouTube channel. So guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. I very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.